Greetings from former Soviet Tbilisi, Georgia. I've arrived earlier this afternoon, and after a bit of a chaotic start with the driver who managed to turn a 30-minute drive from the airport into an hour and 6-minute drive, and a quick hotel change, I finally made it out to start walking around town. And my first stop is the Bath district, a very, very old region and a very traditional part of the way Georgians go about their business. And I am actually going to this place here, a 300-year-old bath, a public one, which is communal, where I'll be sharing the space with what is most likely to be a lot of old Georgian men. I'll report back. Well, here I am on the other side of an authentic Georgian experience. Whew, where do I begin? Wow, I don't think I was expecting any of that. I walked in as an absolute rookie. Luckily, I can speak some Russian, so that goes a long way to asking questions and getting answers, because I've read in the reviews that they're pretty rude to non-Russian speakers, or non-Georgian speakers as well, basically English speakers. I walked in, I asked the questions. For example, can I wear shorts in there? The lady at the front said yes, but guess what? When I went into the baths, the first thing that someone yelled at me was, "Hey, you can't wear those in here." So I stripped naked and I joined the fellas, all bits hanging out, empowering to just be naked amongst men, in a natural bath of sulfur. The guys in there kept telling me how healthy it is. The water was boiling, almost literally 50 to 55 degrees in the water. And I was not expecting that. I was expecting kind of that jacuzzi feel, nice and warm, a little bit hot, but relaxing. This was like, get in there and it burns your skin right away. Another thing is, I'd read that you should pay 30 Georgian lari, which is equivalent of about 12, 13 Australian dollars, for a kissa. Now, what is a kissa? I had no idea. I read something about a scrub, a skin scrub or something like that. Well, I paid my 30 lari. He literally approached me on arrival and said, "Do you want this? Do you want a bath and a sauna, then this, and then you want to have a scrub?" And I was like, yeah. I was imagining I'd be taken to another room, a nice relaxing experience. Turns out I was sitting in the room where the baths are, and a man approached me and said, "Did you pay for a kisser for the scrub?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Let's do it." And he lays me down on one of these tiled kind of beds there. Not exactly the most comfy place to lay down. Puts me on my back. I'm completely naked, and he commences the kisser, which is essentially a combination of all sorts of things. He's scrubbing me with a scrubber. He's soaping me. He's getting into all of my crevices. He cares not for vanity and boundaries. So yeah, completely soaped me top to bottom. I was sliding around on the tiles. There's like a handle that you can hold onto, and I was actually using that. And then when I came out, the lovely gentleman at the front desk offered me a tea. We had a little conversation about life in Georgia. He asked me about myself and why I speak Russian if I come from Australia. And it was actually nice to connect. And I gave him a little tip on the way out, and he said, "Yeah, this guy knows how it's done. He knows how you're meant to behave." So I must have done the right thing by leaving him a little tip on the back end. But wow, what an experience. And if you're in Tbilisi, you got to do it. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to my video. Making friends. I didn't expect this when I arrived in Georgia this morning. All right, it's the first meal in Georgia, and I've been looking forward to this for a very long time, ever since I decided to book my flights here. And the first cab off the rank is hachapuri. This is just cheesy bread with an egg yolk in the middle, salty cheese, just stunning, gorgeous, really. And what they do is they break off a bit of the bread. This is boiling hot. I'm going to use a fork and knife against my own wishes. They break off a bit of bread, dip it in the egg yolk, like so. Get a bit of that cheese. It's like the Georgians' version of pizza, but different and bloody tasty. These are the famous Georgian soup dumplings called kimkali. Now I got the mother kimkali, which is what this restaurant specializes in. It's a bit of a gimmick, but basically they make a giant version of the dumpling, and inside of it they cut it open, and you get the individual ones. So these are soup dumplings that are filled with meat and soup, and very delicious, and I'm looking forward to digging in. This waterfall is actually smack bang in the middle of Old Town in Tbilisi. Really not too far from the baths. You literally go for a 5-minute walk. There's all these bridges that have been purpose built and surrounded by nature. Good morning from day 2 in Tbilisi, Georgia. I decided to stop here to film this video because I think it provides the perfect contrast of what life is like today versus what it may have been like in the past. And these two buildings right here, you can see the modern painted pastel look, which they seem to be trying to incorporate in a lot of areas here, versus this building right here. And I'm seeing a lot of abandoned buildings now. In fact, the first hotel I was put up in before I ended up changing, my view out the window was an abandoned church where an entire chunk of the church had fallen off of the roof and onto the ground. And it's pretty clear that if something here is abandoned, no one's trying to do anything about it. Really, signs of old Soviet times, and maybe not the resources, and maybe maybe a lack of, I don't know, love for their own environment and culture, or just an unwillingness to do anything about it. But I'm seeing a lot of that, and right now I'm going for a walk to try some Georgian breakfast. Although what I'm seeing on the menu seems a bit more Ukrainian/Russian to me, so I might end up picking something like that, just to get that nostalgic feeling that I love so much. I'll keep you posted.
Well, the reason you're hearing a voiceover is because I'm a noob at making vlogs, and I decided to experiment with recording myself through my AirPods. So you can see in my ear there, I've got an AirPod, and I thought that my voice was going through there, but alas, it was not. However, all I was saying is the dish I ordered is called Tblisi, which is essentially like a Georgian version of shakshuka. It's got scrambled eggs, tomato sauce, onion, garlic, herbs, and ended up being incredibly tasty. It came with a side of bread as well. You can see me drooling in the video. Please forgive my rookie mistake. Experiment failed, but at least you know what I was eating.
So it seems to be a pretty common thing that there's underground crossings in Eastern Europe. I remember experiencing this in Kiev, in Ukraine, and I noticed that they are pretty optimal with the way they use their space, because as you can see behind me in this video, every single bit of space is used up by retail stores. They sell anything from clothes to jewelry, perfumes, I'm seeing, handbags, shoes, and then all sorts of knickknacks as usual.
Confiscating houses from original owners. So every house was owned by one owner, and then we are confiscating house and
All right, well, I've just done myself a nice little sulfur bath once more. This time, though, I went for a private room of my own, which costs about 200 lari, which is the equivalent about of 115 Aussie dollars. Obviously, more handy if you have people with you, as it kind of cuts the cost, but you can book for all sorts of numbers of people, which I'll get to in my next segment, and I'll tell you all about that, and I'll show you the room and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, pretty good experience. You'll see it in a second, but the reason I decided to start talking is actually I learned an insanely cool fun fact. I went on a walking tour today, and it turns out that Georgia, I thought Georgia was just like a random country, not much money going around. They don't really have much of an impact on the world. You know, there's not many Georgian restaurants around the world, even though it's amazing food. Yeah, I don't know, just not much going on here in Georgia. But I'm totally surprised by a number of fun facts. First of all, Georgia was kind of the center of a lot of battles, a lot of wars. Everyone wanted this region. They've been attacked by like 27 different emperors or whatnot, or I don't know what to call it. You know, the Romans and the Greeks and the Turks, and then the Mongolians came and saved them from the Turks, and the Mongolians had it for 100 years, etc., etc. So they've been the center of a lot of drama. But the real number one fun fact I learned today was that wine, yes, wine comes from Georgia. Wine as we know it today, well, maybe not as we know it today, but the creation of wine comes from Georgia. And that is because they have this little apparatus. The way wine was first made 8,000 years ago, they have an apparatus which is a clay pot called kverve, I believe. And it's a triangular clay pot where they would stick the grapes in, squish them with their feet like we kind of see today, and then that would go under the ground, kind of like kimchi in Korea. It gets left under the ground for 6 months, and then when it comes out, all the sediment has dropped to the bottom of the triangular shaped clay pot, which apparently is purposely triangular and angled so that everything goes to the bottom. and what's left is the juice up top, which was wine. And that is how wine was created. Can you believe it? And I couldn't believe when the guide was telling us this. So I jumped on ChatGPT and asked, where did wine originate from? And it comes from the Caucasus region, specifically Georgia, and then it spread to the other Caucasus countries in the area. If that's not a fun fact, I don't know what is. So I was actually not planning on trying the wine here at all because I haven't been drinking for a while, but I have said that I'll do it on special occasions. And I think this is a pretty special occasion to be in the home of where wine was created 8,000 years ago. And you can even still get wines where they use that clay triangular apparatus to create the wine still to this day. So I think I'm going to be sampling some Georgian wine at dinner tonight. And speaking of dinner, I'll be on my way there soon. And I'm going to a special place with good food, but also some entertainment. So let's see how that goes. In the meantime, here's the video of my my baths and what I just experienced there. All right, everybody, day 2 of Tbilisi, Georgia. I've finished a walking tour. It's a little bit cold outside, not that cold, but a little bit cold. And so I've decided to book myself in, have a look at me, to a private bath. So you get a suite of your own. I've got one with a hot sulfur bath, bit of a cold plunge or ice bath, and a sauna as well. You walk in, you're greeted with this little waiting room. Now you can book these rooms for between 1 and sometimes up to 10 people, depending on the size of the room. I think I've got a really big one, but it's all they had available. So I'll give you a bit of a tour. Look how nice it looks up here. It's got a little hole out there so that the hot air escapes. And then we come through here to the actual bathroom and have a look at this. Have a look at this. Wow, that's very nice. So you've got your little beds to lay on. They're obviously stone beds. Don't know if that's actually obvious, but they're stone, so they're a bit slippery. You've got your something in there. I have no idea. Oh, that's a bit of a something. I don't know. Hot, cold, and then follow me through here. We have our sauna. Look at that. Oh, I don't know where this door behind me leads, but I'm not going to open it because there was no discussion about a fourth room. So that's pretty much that. We've got some showers over here as well, and it's look at the design of the place. Pretty cool. So I'm going to go and enjoy an hour of relaxation, rest and rejuvenation. See you on the other side. This random bit of wall right here is actually a piece of the Berlin Wall that Georgia kept as a souvenir. Fun fact. All right, so I've broken my wine fast for the first time in a long time. Yeah, it's been, I haven't had a drink since we got home from Europe, August 20. I mean, it's not the longest abstinence from alcohol, but nonetheless, almost 4 months, and it's, no, 3 months. But I made a decision to stop drinking in general. Not that I had a drinking problem, but I just don't really care for the casual single drink. I did say that I'd leave room for special occasions, and I think this is certainly a special occasion, that being I'm in Georgia, and this is where wine was created. This is where bloody wine was created, and I actually asked whether they have wine that is made with the special clay pots, and this in fact is a wine that's made with a special clay pot. So cheers to that. Now, I'm no wine connoisseur either, but that's actually a very, very tasty wine. Sorry, there are some bugs flying out. That's a tasty wine. And also 13%. I can't remember what regular wine is, but 13% seems good. And I've ordered a special soup called carcio, which is, I think, a little bit spicy, a little bit meaty, some rice, onions, garlic, and herbs. I'm gonna tuck in right now. I'll be back to show you what I order for mains. I still haven't decided because everything looks so good. I said I was coming somewhere with entertainment. All right, folks, I'll be honest. I'm on my second glass of 300 milliliter red wines, and I'm under the influence of alcohol. I haven't had a drink in months, and all of a sudden I'm drinking red wine by the 300 milliliter. I'm out of control. Anyway, that's not the reason for this part of the video. The reason for this part of the video is I'm having a traditional Georgian pork and potato grilled type operation served on a sizzling hot plate. And it's got some pork belly, it's got some regular pork, it's got some herbs, it's got some chili, it's got some capsicum or peppers, as some people say in the world. I'll be honest, I'm drooling this match. So I'm gonna end this video right now, and I'm gonna dig in.
Good morning from Tbilisi, Georgia. Another wonderful morning in the former Soviet country. As you can see, you got the Soviet sunshine in the background as always. And I'm recording in this spot for a reason, and that is two things. One, I want you to see just how hilly Tbilisi can be. There's a lot of flat area in the middle, but it seems to kind of go up to the mountains on either side. So for the most part, it's easy enough to walk around, but generally there is a slant on almost every hill, besides the flat area right near the river in the middle of town. And on top of that, the reason I'm filming here is because, see, right there, in this, I can't get it high enough, but right there, that right there is the statue of the Mother of Georgia. And it is a very iconic statue here, which a lot of tourists and locals make a great effort to go to. She is holding a bowl of wine in one hand and a sword in the other. And essentially that is a symbol of Georgia in general. It was erected in 1958, 1500 years after the discovery of Tbilisi, and Georgians love wine, and it's meant to be a protective kind of woman overseeing the entire city and keeping everyone protected with a sword, and of course wine, because wine, as I mentioned, wine was discovered here, so pretty big deal. And that's pretty much it for a history lesson. Oh, it was originally wooden, but it's actually made of aluminium now because of some weather damage. So makes sense, bit of longevity. What am I doing today? I am doing something very cool, which I love doing, and that is going on a food tour of Tbilisi. I've done one in Portugal earlier this year, and it went fantastically. You get to taste all the local delicacies without having to figure out what they are and where they are. I know a few bits and pieces about Georgian cuisine just from my own past experiences, but I noticed that on the menus I don't recognize a lot of things, and obviously it's got, you know, Georgian names, which is a very unique language, by the way. So yes, I'm doing a food tour today.
And besides that, I think I'm going to have a pretty quiet day, maybe some quiet wandering, but also giving my body a bit of a rest, which I find that, when traveling, people can, I don't know, if you can feel guilty about not doing something every single day. Whereas I like to take rest days, I'm a little bit older these days than I used to be. The body's a bit sore, and I've been doing, on average, either 10,000 or 23,000 steps, depending on if I'm in Doha or Tbilisi. And I've kind of decided today needs to be a rest day because there's a long trip ahead. So I'll do the. I'm going to breakfast now, and I'll do the food tour later. So it's basically just a day of eating. But who knows what else I might end up doing. There's still plenty to see here in Tbilisi, so I'll be back shortly with a breakfast update. All right, breakfast for today, the most important meal of the day. I have opted for, I've come to this cute cafe, by the way, very small, cute cafe. I have opted for a shakshuka, which looks very delicious, very saucy and eggy, which is what you expect of a shakshuka. And then I've got this, I always try to get, local cuisine. I want to try the local stuff. So I've got this thing called Tristari, which is a cornflour thing mixed with cheese, salty cheese. So I dare say it's going to be good, but we'll find out shortly. All right, here we go. Not bad. Salty, crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. Pretty good.
Every dish which is you're gonna have and already had. So, I mean, there's many things going on, but where I want to pay your attention, Sakartvelo.
Ooh, shaky bridge. So I'm at the Tbilisi Botanical Gardens, but I've got to say that this is a lot more than botanical gardens. This is a nature reserve, and that's not what they call it in English, but that's what it is. It's an absolutely amazing place. It's a lot more than botanical gardens. This is natural. It's not people manicuring flowers, no garden beds, just proper nature as it is. And I'm so pleasantly surprised that in a city that, I don't know, seems kind of rough and broken, and a long history of wars and damage, that such a beautiful bit of nature can exist. And it's my last afternoon in Tbilisi, and it's an amazing way to spend the day, just wandering around, enjoying something that you almost wouldn't expect when you're walking around the city. So I'm having a blast. It's not a huge waterfall, but it's a waterfall nonetheless. And I forgot to mention as well that to get here, you actually take a cable car, which is a beautiful ride, and it costs about $3 Aussie, including the transport card that you have to buy, unfortunately. But you get to the top of the mountain where the Mother of Georgia is, so you get a good view of her. There's a bunch of stalls and the usual knickknacks, but also food and stuff like that. And then if you walk a smidge further, you get all this, a whole nature reserve. It's a lovely escape from a very, very busy city. Well, that's the end of my time here in Tbilisi, and what an adventure it's been. I got to admit, I didn't have high hopes for this place. The only reason I came here is actually because I love Georgian food, or at least what I've experienced of it back home through the Ukrainian and Soviet community. But I've been incredibly surprised, even in the food department. You know, stuff that I definitely didn't know existed and I've never seen in my parts. You obviously got to come to Georgia to have all the Georgian food, but beyond that, there's so much more that surprised me. All the nature nearby, the history is unbelievable. It's such a long and proud history, a very proud country of everything that they've been through and how hard they've worked to get to where they are. Even if, you know, by many standards, where they are is not particularly, you know, incredible or prosperous. They seem pretty content and pretty proud of themselves. You know, they've even got 3 alphabets of their very own. Their language is very unique. So they learn 2 of those alphabets for historical texts and 1 of those alphabets for everyday language, which is amazing. Everything's relatively cheap. You know, every ride, 5-10 minutes in a Yandex or a Bolt is about $2 to $5 Aussie, which is fantastic. And a real interesting piece of history I learned is that in the year 1200, a woman was crowned king. That's right, king. She stood up for herself and said that if men can be king, women can be king too. And from what I learned, it changed the course of history here in Georgia, so much so that it seems to be a place where women dominate more than men. And I actually asked my tour guide what the dynamic's like, and she said that she almost feels sorry for men here because the women are so dominant. And it created a question in my mind of, you know, did the year 1200 and the dominance of a woman and the change in general dynamic, did that change the entire world here in Georgia? And I wonder what would happen if the rest of the world had a woman for a king. So yeah, an absolutely lovely place. I truly recommend it, and I'll definitely be back because I've only been in Tbilisi, but there are a whole bunch of other towns with plenty of nature and hikes and snow. You can even come here for skiing, around 5 mountains for skiing. So all in all, a fantastic trip, and hopefully I've given some insight. Until next time, wherever I am, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It's very important. All right, guys, a bit of bonus footage, and that is these. These are very famous Georgian dishes that even I've had in Australia, which is eggplant, walnut paste wrapped in eggplants with little pomegranate seeds on top. They love walnuts here, and they love pomegranates. They're big things, so this will be good. So garlicky. They love garlic, but that's darn tasty. Now, what that is another version of hachapuri, because hachapuri comes in many shapes and sizes. I don't know which one the OG was, but this is my OG. The other one has the egg in the middle and you mix it all up and rip the bread off and dip it in. This one has the cheese inside the bread. Salty cheese, just super tasty, very, very greasy and awful for your health, no doubt. But I thought I was going to finish with a bang by getting my favorite hachapuri, because I haven't even had one piece while I've been here. I had that other one, if you remember earlier in the video, where
we dipped all in, but I haven't had this one. So let me let it cool down, rip it apart, and then you're gonna watch me feast on it. That's how we're gonna finish this. And that's my official goodbye to Tbilisi. Thank you very much.